Hey y'all, welcome back to One Seed, One World. Here we are now just past the middle of February, and I'm trying to get some things going down in the basement. Been having some issues recently. First off, the weather's been just playing games. A week ago it was 62 degrees throughout the weekend, 62, 63 degrees. 2 days after that, we got like 4 inches of snow, like a heavy wet snow. There was like branches snapping all around in the trees surrounding our property. I was out on the back deck taking the dogs out, and a branch snapped out of my neighbor's tree. It was so loud, like really loud crack sound. I thought their whole tree was going to come down on our house because actually if the whole thing came this way, it probably would hit our house. But fortunately, it was just one branch at the bottom that was, I don't know, maybe like yay big around that had snapped off from the heavy wet snow that we got. So no damage done, no major damage to any, their tree lost a limb, but didn't hurt anything. But it sounded a little scary, and that was the first time that I had been outside in the morning during a snowstorm where it was like every 5 or 6 minutes you were hearing trees snapping. Branches snapping out of trees. And I could see them kind of around the different areas, and mostly all pine trees, but nothing that did any damage, fortunately. So then by that afternoon, it was back up to like 45 degrees and sunny, and most of the snow melted off within 2 days, except for a couple little patches here and there. So I was like, all right, we got rid of that. Now we can, maybe get through February, the rest of February. And a lot of the forecasts look like it's going to be between 45, 55 degrees, depending on the day. And then Friday night, boom, winter weather warning. And we got more snow into Saturday morning. And yesterday had a couple like weird blizzardy things come through in the morning and in the early afternoon. Didn't get a whole lot, probably like 2-3 inches. Did not get as much as what they said we were going to get, because originally they said we were going to get like 6 inches, but wasn't quite as bad. But it's been kind of blustery and cold. Now we're back up into the low 40s and things are melting off again, but this is just killing me. I want to be planting and being outside, and especially after that false spring of 60 some odd degrees last weekend, when we were out in the yard and hanging out in short sleeves, and then 2 days later it's snow and then snow again. Anyway, so that was the first issue. But then like a week ago, I planted a bunch of onion seeds down here in my little mini greenhouse. You can kind of see the edge here with my Mylar blanket that's over it, which I did a video on that. And I'll put a link down below if you missed that last week on how the Mylar blankets can help increase your light and warmth for growing your plants and keep them from getting leggy. So the Mylar was not a problem, but I got a mouse that's been in the basement. And that little bugger got up in my pots of onion seeds I had planted and was digging all through them. I didn't know that mice would mess with onion seeds. So every day I'd come down here and there would be like new ones dug up, holes all in there. I set 2 of my electronic rat zapper traps, and he skipped over those even though they had peanut butter and cheese in them for a couple of days. He kept coming up and digging up my onions. Finally last night I did catch him and got rid of him. He was a little fat. I won't curse. He was a little fatty, big fat mouse though. So I'm hoping that's the only one that's down here. I don't know. I'm keeping the traps. I reset the traps to see if I could catch any more. But I don't know what kind of damage he's done to my onion seeds because they were so dug up. Nothing has sprouted yet. It's been a week. Now, granted, onions will take longer. Sometimes they can take a couple of weeks before they show up. But they were so tore up, I don't know what kind of damage he's done. And I guess I'll just have to see, and hopefully I don't have to buy more of my Globo onions. So that's kind of what's been going on here. I'm not really planting anything else yet except for my onions. I might need to get some more in depending on what kind of damage he did. I'll see once they start to sprout. Hopefully they start to sprout. But it'll probably be like another week, and then I'll start some cabbage and some of the colder crops, kale, maybe things that I can put outside early before last frost. And we'll just kind of see what happens. Now, one thing just to show you here, I showed this on a previous video when they were smaller, but this is after putting my cilantro and my Genovese basil in the little greenhouses down here with the Mylar. They've really thickened up, and I want to, originally I was just going to do like 1 or 2 plants in here, but the basil seeds are really small, so I sprinkled some in. And actually it looks like the mouse was even in here. He didn't eat any of the plants, but he dug a hole. There's holes dug in here that weren't here before, unless that's from me pouring water. I don't know, but looks like he may have been digging in there too. Anyway, originally I was just going to snip a couple of these off and then let like 1 or 2 grow in here and use this for some like kitchen basil. You know, if we want a little bit of basil, we could trim, you know, prune a little bit off once it got a little bit bigger. Same thing with the cilantro. This was just so if we were having tacos or something, we could just grab some out of the kitchen once I got it going down here. The cilantro is slower growing than the basil, so it's looking nice, but it still has a ways to go before I would probably trim any or even have enough for a couple of tacos. But the basil, I think now, because the plants all look so good, I'm going to try to go ahead and transplant some of these and see if how they survive the transplanting. Some of them are in here kind of close, so I know it's going to stress out the plants, pulling the roots apart and stuff. And I won't get into all that in this video, but that's my plan. So after I'm done this video, I will go through and transplant all these plants, water them down, give them some good watering, and then put them back in the greenhouse and see, you know, how long it takes for them to recover from that transplant and see how they do. So that will be a project for this afternoon. Then lastly, I got a mini seed haul. Now in my main seed haul video that I did a few weeks ago, for the bulk of the stuff that I had ordered and I'm going to be planting, I wanted to get a few other things, and most of that had all come from Baker Creek. And this mini seed haul I got from M.I. Gardener. And I know I did show some seeds that I got last fall from M.I. Gardener. And I mentioned how I had some issues with that. It took a long time for them to get the seeds to me. It took over a month before I got them. And a couple of people had commented on the video and said that was not their experience. That's probably not the norm. And so I went ahead and ordered from M.I. Gardener again. And this time it was just under 2 weeks I got my seeds. I mean, I think it took them about 10 days to ship, but then they got here in like 2 or 3 days from shipping. The shipping was really fast once they got going. There were a couple things that I wanted that were out of stock. One has since come back. Borage was one of the things I wanted to get from them that was out of stock. It's now back in stock, but I haven't reordered because I want to get more than just one thing to make the shipping worth it. So I'll keep an eye out on that. The other thing I wanted to get from them was a peach, forget the exact name, it was like a peach nasturtium that is still out of stock, I think. So I'm hoping I can that will come back into stock and I can get some of those. But here's my mini seed haul from M.I. Gardener. I got some holy basil because I did not have any of that. And I've seen, I don't even know if I've grown holy basil before. I've grown Thai basil and a couple Emily basil and sweet lime basil, things like that. But and then this year I'm growing, this is the Genovese basil. But I don't think I've done the holy basil before. So I figured I'd pick some of that up and add it in a few spots around the yard. I did get some nasturtiums. This is the Jewel Mix. I just got like 1 packet each of some of these things because I think I have some nasturtium seeds from a few years ago that hopefully are still good. And I want to try a couple of different varieties. So I just kind of picked up a few random things from M.I. Gardener to fill in some spots. Now, one thing that I have been researching recently is that nasturtiums are supposed to be really good if you interplant them among your squash and pumpkins to confuse and keep squash bugs away. So follow along with me this year. If you haven't already, hey, subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button and all those kinds of things I'm supposed to tell you to do. And also let me know if you have done companion planting with nasturtiums with your squash or pumpkin plants. Because supposedly like you mix it through. Now I've grown nasturtiums before, just not with squash or pumpkins. And they are a vining plant, so they can kind of weave their way around. And I think like every couple of squash plants you add nasturtiums in, and as they grow and flower and stuff, they will supposedly confuse squash bugs and hopefully squash borer bugs to help keep them out of your squash and pumpkins, and also things like cucumbers. It also is supposed to work with those too. So we will see how that works. So follow along this year as I see how that goes. I'm going to get more than just this one pack because I'd like to get a mix of colors. Also, nasturtiums, if you haven't grown them before, they are edible. Both the flowers and the leaves are edible. The leaves kind of have like a peppery flavor. You pick them when they're kind of young. You can add them to fresh salads. And then you can also add the flowers to like drinks or ice creams or salads to kind of like spruce up your dish and make it look all fancy pantsy. So, nasturtiums. I also got some oddball things I'm going to try this year. Coffee. I'm going to try to grow my own coffee plants. So now with coffee, this will probably take 4 to 5 years to come to fruition. I mean, it needs to grow into a bush, and I'm starting it from seed. And because I don't live in a warm climate area, I'm in zone 7A, formerly known as the zone of 6B. But the coffee, it's not going to survive over winter. So you need to probably plant it like in a big pot, and or at least up pot it into a big pot once it gets going, and have it so that you can bring it in and out unless you live in a more tropical region. So we're going to try that and see if we can at some point get our own coffee beans and then try roasting them. You might have to stick around for a few years before we get to that point, but something to look forward to. I mean, we've already grown our own cotton and spun thread out of that. We've grown our own flax, which we have not done the thread yet. It's still, maybe I should do some videos to finish that part up, because I still have like a stack of flax that needs to go through. I've already redded it, but it's, it's ready for the thrashing or whatever. Forget the exact name for it, but basically to get it ready to spin into thread. So we've done a lot of those things. We've grown our own wheat before and ground it into flour. I think that was before I started doing this channel, but we've tried multiple different things with different types of plants, and why not coffee? Black sesame. This is another one I wanted to try. I just thought it would be cool. I was reading about the plants. Let's see, so this says sesame is a grain that grows on a large 3-foot tall plant. Will produce flowers that are tube-like and very interesting to see. Sorry, I should have my glasses on. Amazing in Asian cuisine. I mean, I've had like sesame oils and stuff, but I've never, because we eat a lot of Chinese food, Korean food, different of those types of cuisines where we make a lot of those dishes here. And so why not try growing my own sesame seed that maybe we can grind up or use in dishes? I don't know. I'll have to do more research on it, but they look kind of cool. And from some of the reviews I saw, it seems like they're pretty easy to grow. So I want to try to intermingle these with maybe some other flowers and stuff, or maybe make a border somehow. I don't know. With 3 foot tall, I'm going to have to plan it out. That's one thing when you're doing your gardens, you're going to need to plan your planting so that especially if you're doing like flowers or herbs and stuff, you want to be able to get to them or be able to see if they've got pretty flowers and stuff on them. You don't want to plant like little marigolds behind a 3 foot tall zinnia. You know, you want to arrange them so that they're not shattered out, or that you can see them, get to them easily. And so do a little bit of planning. Look at the size of each one of the plants, how big around they get, how much room they need, as well as heights, so that you know how to lay out your garden. I've got the Long Island cheese pumpkin. I've bought pumpkin seeds in the past and never planted them. I still don't really know where I'm going to fit these in, because with my raised beds and the layout of my yard, I do have some more spaces I could possibly use if I want to take up some more grassy areas, or figure out some kind of artsy way to arrange some things. But I figured, why not? I'll try the Long Island cheese pumpkin, because they have good reviews, have not grown them before, and also this will let me try out mixing the nasturtiums in with those as well, along with my zucchini, yellow squash, and other things that I grow. I got more tomato seeds. I already have a ton of tomato seeds, but the wife wanted Romas. She wanted me to specifically make sure that I plant some Romas this year for making sauces with. I think that all the other types make just as good as sauces. I've done it with Cherokee Purple and Berkeley Pink Tie-Dye, and all, I can all those, made sauces out of those. But to be fair, Roma tomatoes are more meaty, less juicy, and are better for making sauces to give you a thicker, meatier sauce. So we'll grow some Romas. And Romas are determinate, which means they won't, they only get to a certain height, normally around 3 feet tall, and they put off a certain amount of fruit. Whereas your indeterminate tomatoes, like most of the other stuff that I grow, will just keep growing until something kills it off, whether it's a disease or frost or pest pressure or whatever it is. And you need a lot more room for those unless you do really specific pruning, like single stem pruning and that kind of thing, which I normally will start off the year with trying to prune some things, but by mid-July, I'm kind of less like, screw it, let it go. And then it just, takes over. So with these, you have a kind of a perfectly formatted sized bush plant that is more manageable and you don't need as much room for. So if you are limited on room, look for determinate types of tomatoes, because you can grow them in pots easier. You don't need as much trellising. They will probably need some support, but you could probably do it with a couple of sticks and some string in a pot to just kind of help hold them up, instead of having big trellises that they're going to grow up over and whatnot if you don't have room for all that. Purple tomatillo. I'm going to try tomatillos again. Back probably like 2014, 2015, before I was doing this channel, I did grow some tomatillos. They didn't do so great. I did get some, but they came out really tiny. But that was kind of one of my transition years of beds, and I was trying new things, and they were kind of crowded out by other stuff. So I don't know if I had them in the best growing situation for them to really do well. So I figured I'd try again this year, because I love like a salsa verde, and I've made my own before, grilling up the tomatillos with like peppers and other things like that, get a good char on them, and then adding all the other spices and ingredients and making cooking up a nice salsa verde. But those were with green tomatillos, and I think actually the time that I did that, I used store-bought, and I don't even think I barely even used the ones that I grew, just because they were so tiny. So I figured now we'll try it with the purple ones and see what's going on. And so that was my mini seed haul so far from And My Gardener. I do have other seeds and some other things that I'm hoping to do this year. I want to do a whole series on okra this year. I had planned on doing that last year, but I planted my okra in a mostly shady spot, which is not good for okra, and so nothing really happened. I think by September, I had 2 plants left that were about that tall, so never got any okra. But I have grown okra successfully in the past and had so much okra I didn't know what to do with. So I am going to try that again this year, because I have learned more in reading a book about okra, about all the parts of the plant that are edible, you know, the flowers. You can use things out of the stalks, the seeds, all kinds of things that you can do with okra that I was not aware of the first time that I grew okra. So I want to pass that information along, as well as share the book that I read and all that. So I'll get into that more later on this season, but these are just some other future plans for this year. So that's kind of what's been going on here. That's my little vlog about mice and snow and my mini seed haul. So what's going on in your neck of the woods? You got things growing yet? You got problems with mice? You getting lots of snow? Or are you in a warm place that is fantastic and you're already out picking tomatoes? Because if you are, I don't know if we can be friends. No, we can still be friends, but I will be a little bit jealous. So, I guess I need to get into transplanting my basil. Hopefully by maybe next weekend when I do another video. By that point, they will have been in for 2 weeks, and maybe I'll have some stuff germinating by then, and we'll have a better gauge on how much damage was done and if I need to like really get on the ball with getting some more seeds in, or ordering more seeds, or finding some in all of my stores. I have to apologize for this whole dumpster fire I've got going on back here, because everything's a mess. This is actually way cleaner than it was before, and I still have a lot more setup to do with my other greenhouses and start getting things ready to go, because I mean, like I said, like in a week or two I'll be doing the cabbage and getting those kinds of things started, the cold weather crops. But then by mid-March, which, you know, so 4 weeks from now I'll be starting my tomatoes, peppers, and everything else. Not everything else, but a large portion of what I would start in the basement will be starting 4 weeks from now. So in the meantime, I hope everything has gone fantastic for you guys, and I appreciate that you are here hanging out with me again today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and check out some of the past videos. I have almost 300 videos now on this channel over the past 4 years, gone into the 4th full seasons that I've been doing this channel. So I appreciate all of you that stop by, whether you're new or whether you're coming back to check out the other stuff. Thanks for being here with me. But I hope you are having a great day. We will see you again soon. Namaste.